like to, that is, apart from calling themselves, instead of calling themselves Electoral Commission, they always want to tag the word Independent Electoral Commission to it. But at the end of the day, most of the time we find out that most of these electoral commissions are dependent, highly dependent electoral commissions. How then do we understand them always wanting to tag the word independent to their names?
It's quite interesting because we have always felt that it's the governing power that has all that is the governing party that has all the power and resources in order to carry out elections. You know, we are suffering a lot in Africa on this issue of separation of power. And it's an important concept when you want to talk about democracy. And there are so many preconditions, prerequisites before we reach and think that we can ever have a free and fair election. Because many people have confused so many things, starting from the state. Most people today don't know who is a state, who is a government. But a state and a government are one and the same thing. And now that's why when we come into elections, it's a way of electing members to be part of that government. But there has been a lot of problems because what Africa has done is that we have just copied and pasted a system that is functioning somewhere else, and to come and adapt and put it in a context that is completely different from where we copied. What I'm talking here about is the liberal democracy. And once you come to the issue of elections, one aspect comes into mind, the issue of legitimacy. And the issue of legitimacy is so important once you talk about elections, because when you talk about elections, when we talk about this word, sometimes it's good to break it down for people to understand. Once you talk about legitimacy, you talk about trust. Do I trust this process, what these people are trying to put in place? And you will know that this trust and the lack of trust of government has its origin. It originated from how we inherited the colonial state, which we have received today as artificial states. These are artificial states because of the way we came together. We created the state. How did this state come about? We need to know that once the colonizers came together, they came and colonized us. They forced us, and they created a state structure that was not there to respond to the needs of the people. It was what they call an extractive state that is just there to exploit the resources and to subjugate the people. We inherited a system now from the colonizers, and we did not change these structures, which became neo-colonial. And it made that the state took the citizens as their main threat. Remember, once you have a military, the first responsibility of the military is to protect the territory, the territorial integrity of the state. Now, you discover that in Africa, so it means that military are there to defend external forces. But our military here, they are there to subjugate the people. That is, the problem is that they have seen the people as a threat to their survival. And so that's why all institutions, because when they talk about, you see after almost elections, when you come out from elections, you come out and say, please respect the institutions, respect our institutions. But the institutions that were put in place, given these colonial and neo-colonial structures, were there to protect the status quo. It means that those people who always come out are people who benefit from the system. And so they are there to maintain the status quo. That's why when you go and create an electoral commission, you need to reassure the people and say it's independent. But at the end of the day, when you see the way the electoral process is conducted, there are still a lot of doubts and people still are disenchanted and
Which
not
means
satisfied.
that the fraud elections